0 and negative exponents. Again, we dealt with this. I know I've already done this in 7th grade, so write down this example problem. X to the negative 5th power, y to the 6th power, z over z to the negative 3rd, y to the 2nd, x. If you're asked to simplify this, again, some of you, there are about a dozen different ways. Did I do something wrong first? There are about a dozen different ways to do this, and you have to kind of use the one that works for you. I will tell you the one that I think makes the most sense, but usually the one that I say makes the most sense takes a little longer to do, because you're not, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do kind of in your head that doesn't do this, but if you don't understand it, it's always better to take some time to do it this way. So Lauren, to do this one, you would do what?
I would first cross what you can offside, do the y's.
Okay, well, and Lauren has a good suggestion. She said she would cross the y's off. There's 2 down here and 6 down here, which would leave you with 4 up there, right? But the only problem with that is when you get to negatives, you know, if I cross off the next to the negative 3rd and x, what's going to end up the result of that? I mean, what happens, and that's what I'm saying. I agree. That's probably what I would actually do if I were doing this. But what about these negative exponents? Because we don't deal with
I'm
all
just
of
saying, just do the y's and then do the x's as
All right, what would you do with the x's?
Well, I would bring the negative x's to the bottom and bring the negative z's to the top, or whichever way they're actually opposite. Do the opposite of the negative part.
Okay, here's what I would do, and I agree. I would probably do it like you, but I don't think that's the most. I don't think it's the probably most logical way for everybody to do it. And if you can do it the way Lauren is, I'm good with that. But this is what I would do. Okay, I would step number 1. I would move everything to the top. That's what I would do, because it's a lot. I don't want to say it. You don't get as confused with moving everything to the top, I think, as you would if you started doing the stuff that Lauren was talking about. Even though I think I would do what Lauren said. So when I do that, what happens here? Let me write the top stuff over again so you can see this here. If I move this z to the top, what's going to happen to it? It's going to become z to the what? Well, I'm going to write it. I'm not going to combine it yet. If I move the y to the top, it becomes y to the negative 2. And if I move x to the top, it becomes x to the negative 1. Okay? And the reason I would move them all to the top is because now I can put the x's together just by combining their exponents. I don't have to think about if I'm subtracting.
Because I'm trying to find what lesson we're on.
Oh,
32.
right now it's 32. You could have just raised your hand. Anyways, I would move them to the top because now I can just combine the exponents, just add them together. If I have a negative 5 with a negative 1, I get x to the negative 6th, y to the 6th, and a y to the negative 2. Put those together, it's y to the 4th, and a z to the 3rd is z to the 4th. That's the first thing. And then the last step I would do is move things so that your exponents become positive. In other words, this is my answer, but in math we always write our answers with positive exponents. So the one thing I'd have to do is just move the x to the bottom so it becomes x to the positive 6. That is what I would do right now, unless you start to become an expert and think that you understand what's going on. You could have kind of done what Lauren said. I mean, work with all the positives. Why is this doing that? But I think this probably makes the most sense and is the simplest to do in thinking about what happens there. Make Shanks? Again, if you can do it your way and get that same answer and know what you're doing and know why it works, that's fine. but for those of you, which is about half of you, I mean, by the way, after you do this enough times, you'll start to do it the way that Lauren was talking about or we were doing there. It's just, let me give you another one to do. What if you see this problem? I'll actually give you a chance. X, Y, -3, Z, 5 over Y squared, X squared, Z. I'll give you a second to do that. Again, if you think your way is the best, if you think you can handle not doing it the way I said and can still get the same thing, I'm good with that. But if you are at all confused about X, negative and positive exponents, then do it my way, please. Lucas Spaniel, what do you say the answer is?
Z to the 6th over Y to the 5th X.
We all in agreement? No. Did you do it my way, Lucas?
No.
Okay. Let's just do it my way and see what happens here. So I have X, Y, -3, Z to the 5th. I move this up, it becomes Y to the -2, correct? This becomes X to the -2. We're still on the right path, Z to the -1. Okay, combining X with an X to the -2 gives me X to the -1, correct? Y to the -3, Y to the -2 is Y to the -5th. And Z to the 5th, Z to the -1 is Z to the 4th. Okay, that's my answer. Simplified kind of, but I just need to make my exponents positive. So I end up with Z to the 4th over X, Y to the 5th. Because those are my positive.
That's what I got. I asked X to the Z.
And again, I'm good with you. If you can do it your way and end up with this, but if you struggle with keeping things organized and straight, this is, to me, probably the most logical, organized way to do it. Good? One more time, just because. One more, and then we talk probability. And that'll give us 3 sets today, 3 lessons. M cubed, and I know Lucas wants a chance to redeem himself. P squared Q to the 10th over M to the -2 P to the 4th and Q to the -6th. M to the 3rd P squared Q to the 10th over M to the -2 P to the 4th Q to the -6th. George is doing it in his head. Again, which I'm not completely against, but if you get it wrong, you just open yourself up to ridicule. Just remember that. I think I figured out a few things in my short 20+ years of doing this. Crenshaw-Hammer says,
I got M to the 5th, Q to the 16th over P squared.
over P squared. Yeah, I believe that's probably. If you did not get that, again, I would do this, M to the 3rd, P squared, Q to the 10th, bringing this to the top becomes M squared. This to the top is P to the -4th. This to the top is Q to the 6th. Combining them, you get M to the 5th, P squared, and P to the -4 is P -2. P Q10, Q6 is Q16. Yeah, when you take that to the bottom, and that's where that comes from. Nothing? Good, perfect. Blank piece of paper probability.